It is Dom time.
Downtime.
Just
Just
reading
reading
on
on
Twitter,
Twitter,
Dan,
Dan,
what's
what's
going
going
on
on
with
with
the
the
protesters
protesters
in
in
New
New
York?
York?
And
And
Marjorie
Marjorie
Taylor
Taylor
Greene is
Greene is
having
having
her
her
demonstration
demonstration
there,
there,
or
or
did.
did.
It
It
might
might
be
be
ongoing.
ongoing.
So
So
what do
what do
people on
people
the
on the
left
left
do?
do?
They
They
issue
issue
an
an
emergency
emergency noise
noise demonstration.
demonstration.
New
New
York
York
is
is
louder
louder
than
than
hate
hate
speech.
speech.
Bring
Bring
instruments,
instruments,
pots
pots
and
and
pans,
pans,
whatever
whatever
you
you
got.
got.
We'll
We'll
have
have
whistles
whistles.
too. They just want to drown you out. Now, I experienced this with the crowd that what were they called that used to go after Wall Street. In that they would say mic check. They would yell mic check, and that's when they'd all start screaming in your face. So I'm not sure if Marjorie Taylor Greene was drowned out, but we have full coverage today on the Dom Giordano show. Whoops. All right, Dan, out of breath here. All right, so every day at noon, as long as my close-up, Mr. DeMille, is okay, and I'm watching this carefully. I got Roe watching on YouTube today. If there's a hair out of place, Dan, then this is off every day at noon to be on YouTube. Well, Roe will be the determiner here. She's my fashion consultant. Yeah. Well, feel free. These salesmen, I'll wear full suits or whatever during this. We get a clothing allowance in here. I'm serious. I told them that once, and now it's arrived finally on YouTube.
I love it.
Just imagine the fashion sense that we can create here. Dom's Clothing today was brought to you by Borowski of Paris. All right. So full coverage. We'll go to the moment when needed here of anything happening in New York outside of Manhattan Criminal Court. There are protesters. The NYPD is very good at this, of keeping order while allowing people to express themselves. I can't tell you. The over and under seems to be going with under, no mugshot. They don't want to give Trump a mugshot. I don't know. It's a big legal wrangle whether or not you can demand to have a mugshot and have that mugshot taken and use it. You know, the obvious. We talked about that yesterday, how the mugshot would help. So we got that going on, and the action can happen at any moment there. We'll go to it. But in addition to that, in the 2:00 hour today, the action should be pretty prominent with the arraignment. There will be a fingerprinting. There will be Miranda rights. Then there'll be charges. They'll ask for a change of venue. They'll ask Trump's lawyers. They'll ask to dismiss everything, which is their right. And I don't know if it'll take more than 20 minutes to a half hour that he'll actually be inside a room they have prepared for him here. The thing to watch is Trump has made, I don't like his attorneys. I'll tell you, as somebody who only practices on the air, they're not top of the line so far, except he has this white collar attorney who is very good. And I think he represented some of the January 6 people, et cetera, and did very well by them. So Trump's got firepower in this white collar attorney who specializes in that. And you'll see that play out as this gets more serious. Will Bunch wrote something today that I want to talk about with you that's apropos of this. And he's trying, Dan, but he doesn't get it. And he says, whatever happens with Trump, let's say Trump is stopped, let's say Trump is convicted, that wouldn't stop him either. What do we do with 74 million people who are angry at America, in his words, in his column in the Inquirer? What do we do with them? Let me take you through what he writes about. And he's well-meaning, but offensive. He says, well, you know, if they got more pay, if they got better jobs, well, why are Democrats not delivering on that? Because they can't. Trump is the one that talked about the Rust Belt, places like Pennsylvania, Michigan. We've been through this a million times. The Blue Collar Conservative book, Rick Santorum talked with Trump for 8 hours on that, he told me. And people believe that he made it better. 2, more education. You see, Will Bunch thinks people are uneducated. That's why we're on edge over these cultural issues. 3, He says, let's have mandatory national service. I am so completely against this with every fiber of my being. Now, the military is one thing, but the idea that we'd all have to be in AmeriCorps or something like that, mandatory volunteer service. No, that's not what America's about. Then we'd all come together. We have real differences. And then his final thing is, well, look, some of this isn't negotiable. These Trump voters essentially don't like the way America is changing. Now, he makes it racial and things and sexual, LGBTQ and all that, versus any number of things that defy common sense, defy tradition, that are attacks on traditional America. That's where the divide is in a lot of this stuff. And you're not going to change that because you have one side who's woke, the other side who's traditional America on many issues. And I don't know how in the world, the only thing that's going to decide that are elections after elections to see where the American people ultimately want to go. But you're not going to change me or the Trump people on that. That's not negotiable either. All right. So, in fact, yesterday we kind of got into this, and I got several nice emails on it, that the counterculture used to be on the left. Arguably, the counterculture is on the right.
Oh, I think that's definite now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the left can't see it because they're still thinking back to the 60s because they don't think the media is even liberal. They think the media is down the middle and some because they're in a bubble. They're in a bizarro world. It's not. We see countless evidences of it.
Yeah.
Now, I can't complain that local media, sometimes I complain, they say conservative Dom Giordano. I'm fine with that, but they don't say liberal, whoever else is on there. But I can't be somebody complaining because they give me that's all I want. I don't care what you call me. You give me space. You let me do what I do. And I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
But other people are branded. They're knocked out. And they don't get an opportunity to get that kind of point of view out there. Case in point, though, would be that someone like Helen Gam thinks she can attack other Democrats for coming on this station. I mean, she put right into it. In what universe?
What a great press release.
Yeah. What America is Helen Gim living in? Well, she is in the deep left, and that's the way they think. That's where it goes. But it is the counterculture. Now, I'm not sure who else, Dan. I'm going to ask people this today to play on this counterculture theme. Trump represents it, and Trump encapsulates it. Guys like Mastriano don't. And Doug Mastriano's back on my mind. He just put out a tweet saying that Trump and Mastriano in a poll, reputable poll again, are overwhelming Pennsylvania. Trump is up 49-31 now in the poll just out today in Pennsylvania over DeSantis, where they were pretty close, DeSantis and Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Mastriano's at 39, McCormick 21, and Kathy Barnett 11. And if Barnett is out of that, then Mastriano goes up more. And Kathy Barnett's not even running or saying anything. So my point is this. There's only one Trump. Who else is it that can get those Trump voters? Can DeSantis do it? DeSantis is doing all the right things, but he doesn't rouse people in quite the same way. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is there today. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, come on, face it, is not somebody it's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not going to make her the VP choice or anything like that. She serves a purpose. But there are very few people that can rouse what Trump has done and yet be seen as sort of mainstream. Most of these other figures on the right are not going to be able to lead any kind of movement. This is just around Trump. Is that's Marjorie Taylor Greene? You hear the whistles there, Dan. They're trying to shut her down.
Well, you allow crime in your streets, and you send your henchmen down here to commit assault against people by making loud noises, assault against police officers who are doing their jobs, trying to keep things civil, trying to prevent violence. Democrats are the party of violence. You're the party
That's
that
okay.
enabled
No,
and
I was
funded
arrested
and
for- Don't
cheered
push
for
anyone, don't push
violent
anyone.
riots all through 2020. And they allowed cities to be burned. $2
All right,
billion.
let me ask you that. Is that Marjorie Taylor Greene or no? It sounds like it might be somebody
No, it
else.
is.
Dan.
It's her.
It is her.
Yeah.
Now notice this tactic with the left, though. They exacerbate. I'm surprised the NYPD. I can't tell how close they got to her there. It's not enough for them to have their own protest. They can say whatever they want about Trump. They're trying to drown out other people that are there. Now, it's hard to get a Trump crowd in New York. You're taking your life into your hands here in this situation. But there are Trump supporters there. They're awaiting. Trump is 4 miles away. But even with a motorcade, Dan, I would leave at least an hour and a half before I have to be there in New York, even in the middle of the day. If you come at 5 o'clock, you may have to take an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours to go 4 miles. Yeah. All right. Phone lines are 855-839-1210. You get on board. Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden has really opened up something here. We saw it was a mediocre game, to be honest. It was highly touted. 10 million people watched LSU beat Iowa. And there were racial overturns. There was trash talking. There were all kinds of things. So Dr. Jill, who was there in the crowd, says, of course, we want LSU to come to the White House. We always have the winning team come.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, I'm telling Joe, though, she says this on national TV, we also want Iowa to come, the runner-up. And the thing of it is, LSU has mainly star black players. Iowa has almost all star white players that I can see. So now Dr. Jill Biden has got in the middle of the wrong side on the race issue here because of the trash talking. So her spokesperson says, well, what Dr. Biden meant wasn't it unbelievable what Title IX has done? Therefore, she was praising both teams. And they just let it drop. Now, I don't think LSU would go if Iowa was going to go, nor should they. What in the world is up with this doctor, Jill Biden, that she thinks the runner-up gets to go to the White House too? How demeaning to women. We don't do that with anyone else. I mean, are the Eagles going to go? The Eagles and Phillies can take a bus up there together, the runners-up, some would say the losers. Is that going to be a new thing? Let's have the runner-up team come in with the championship team. No, Dr. Jill, you're caught again. That's not America. You don't know what you're doing. And this idea, I think she thought she'd broker the peace there. They'd all be sitting down at the White House and none of this would matter. But it's all over the place. And it's just another tell of what goes on here. All right, let me give you this side question.
I do have some of Shannon Sharp, if you wanted to hear that.
Yeah, this is on ESPN. Now this show's bad. Both of them are bad, but one guy, Skip Bayless, is a lot worse. Here's what they said about inviting Iowa to the White House.
I'm going to be respectful to the First Lady, Skip. But you know how Atlantics and the Washington Nationals amateur club. But the first professional baseball team to get invited to the White House, Ulysses S. Grant did it in 1869. The Cincinnati Red Stockings.
That's some deep research right there.
Winners. Never in the history, Skip.
All right, so Dr.
The part
Jill,
of winning a national.
Sorry about
yeah,
that.
Dr. Jill Biden, very much even more off than usual with this. All right, so here's the side question today. We're all over watching the protests, the buildup, the mugshot, the arraignment, and then President Trump's supposed to speak tonight from Florida. We'll see if there's a gag order. So our minds wander to prison, jails, arrest. Not that I think that's going to happen here. So we got some good ones. We'd like to know your all-time favorite, one you think is just perfect. Could be a song, could be a film. I'm going to go with film, or it could be a TV show that shows prison or jail. Yeah, I love Johnny Cash.
Yeah, yeah.
I walk the line. That's a good one. I'm going to take Shawshank Redemption off. So many great scenes in there.
It's a great answer.
I don't know what the best scene is, and I think most of us have seen it double figures.
Like,
It's on
I
all
think
the time.
it's easily the best all-time prison. There's
Exactly.
nothing comparable. I mean,
Well, you didn't let me do my impression yet, but Cool Hand Luke, Paul Newman,
okay.
when Struthers, the warden there goes, "You run once, you're going to get one set of chains. You run twice, you're going to get another set of chains. You're not going to run a third time." Now, for radio's sake, he draws it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, do you happen to do that scene? Do you happen to do Struthers? Now, you're the master impressionist here. Do you do that?
No, I don't, but I will work on it.
Okay, good. All right, good. I'm sure you'll have a prison imitation or two. Howard Stern in the big house coming up.
I'm going to take one right off the board
Yeah.
now. It's the TV show Oz, which airs on
Yes.
HBO.
Yep.
This launched HBO, and if you watch Oz, you'll see a lot of stars that
Oh.
would eventually appear in The Wire, and
Yep.
even a Sopranos future star was in Oz. She played a prison guard.
Oh, I got to think about that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's
But
that?
you want a show that shows you the brutality of prison.
Oh,
I don't
Oz,
know how
definitely.
Oz was ever even put on cable TV. I mean,
It's-
that is the most brutal possible.
Well,
Yeah.
HBO had its series at that point, but
Yeah.
Oz really put them on the map. And
Yeah.
2 years later, the green light for The Sopranos, and then the rest is history.
Yep. Exactly. Dan, you had something else?
I don't want to draw it out. I got a question. Was it
Yeah.
Edie Falco?
Yep,
Jim?
it was Edie Falco.
Yeah,
She
okay.
played, and
Okay.
she was so removed from that Carmela Soprano
Yeah,
character.
such a
absolutely.
different
Yeah.
role.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dom, I'll take how about Green Mile off?
There we go.
Yeah.
I think it's a good film. I don't quite get the stare over it. Could be Tom Hanks sets me off. I don't know.
It's kind of, anti-capital punishment propaganda to a degree.
So
right?
Rose sees something last night. Tim Allen denies any relationship with Tom Hanks. And I go, Rose, what are you reading this for? It's obvious misinformation. Well, he's denying it. Why is he denying it? I'm saying, I can't. Dan Borowski denies a relationship with Tom Hanks. Unclear about Will Bunch. I mean, it's misinformation. That's all it is. All
Love
right.
it.
855-839-1210. Got it? That's the side question. At the end of your call, how are you feeling at this point is always a good question. I think people are feeling, there's only one question. There's two questions today. One, the gag order. I still think it's to Trump's advantage if he's gagged. The other one is, does Bragg have anything more than just this technical situation, this business filing that he's replicating 34 times? If he does, then that is going to be blockbuster news. He doesn't. He doesn't have that. All he did was take this and revamp it any number of times. All right, 855-839-1210. You get in right now with Dom and Dan on Talk Radio 1210. our lawyer in residence, to give us the latest insight. There's all two things coming out of today that'll be critical. One, the gag order. I think it's good for Trump if there's a gag order. He can use this forever. And two, is there any attempt at anything here with Bragg other than regurgitating what we know is the charge and using it in 34 different ways? All right. I vote that it's going to be 34 different ways. And once people say that, we'll take away from the left, from all their, oh, you just have to wait and see. You don't even know what's in this. Now, we pretty much know what's in this. Why would he hold that back? Why would that be a surprise? Why wouldn't it have been leaked already? There's no way. But you know what today's about, too, though? It's a good chance to talk about the meaning of Trump. That's why I brought this counterculture thing up. Let's face it. I thought DeSantis was closing in the early states. I thought he could have beaten Trump. We had Robert Cahaly on yesterday. He made great points. And he also, the pollster, he also made the point that Trump will tell you what he promised and how he kept that promise. Biden can't do that. This is the first time in our life, because of this unusual circumstance of skipping 4 years, where we have a former president running against a current president, where we can see each what they promised and what they did. That's rare. Usually it's not apples to apples. And that's a big advantage, I think, in the general election. So 855-839-1210, that's how you get on board. What is the meaning of Trump, though? Well, people would have said, look, it was a shot. It was 2016, snuck up on this. All the stuff that Selena Zito and others documented was out there. Won by only 44,000 votes across Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. But people were getting tired of it. Even people that voted once or twice for President Trump didn't want the melodrama, etc. Democrats couldn't let that go and beat him on the playing field. They had to figure, no, either we can't beat him on the playing field or we can't stand it anymore. We got to do it now. We want to celebrate this. We want to take him out by any means necessary. As a result, they've taken a guy who's not the most skilled, with a horrible record in New York, and they're pushing this out there. And what this is going to depend on are the people that are not MAGA or the left. It's the people that pay somewhat of attention on this. What do they boil it down to ultimately? Do they boil it down to, yeah, I'm glad they got that guy? Or are they going to boil it down to, this is not right? I may not even like Trump in some ways, but this isn't right. This goes way outside you got nothing. And we're going to know that today. Now, I already know it. You know it. But I'm talking about those reachable people. Which way do they go? Were they tired of Trump? They don't like Biden either. But they think this is way out of bounds. So far, the polling indicates they're getting that. And today will be the day. The big thing from today is to see exactly what's in the indictment. All right, now this is Robert Cahaly, Trafalgar polling, guy we love. You know this, and I know it, but sometimes when somebody is a pollster reaffirms this, listen to the point he made yesterday, how rare this will be if it's Trump against Biden, based upon the fact they're both presidents. We have not seen that before. Here's what Cahaly said.
But here's the thing that nobody's talking about. Trump ran with promises of what he would do and delivered a lot of them. Biden on a very big list of promises on what he would do and bring the country together, and his record is quite the opposite. And so we've never had in any of our lifetime two candidates for president who don't run on what I say I'm going to do, who both have a record of being president. That ain't never happened before.
Hey, Robert, let's drill down on that. You know what? That is such a good insight to drill down on, that it is this rare. And Trump, second to none, would reaffirm when he promised something and did it. He lets you know about it, which is smart, again and again and again. All right. That was a great point from we all know it, but sometimes putting an exclamation point next to it helps. All right, let's go to Pat in Bordentown to start off. Pat, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Pat, are you there? All right.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah. Hi, Pat. Go right ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom in Marlton.
Oh, Tom and Marlton.
All right, Tom in Marlton. Hey, Tom. Good afternoon. All right, Tom.
Hey,
Hi, Tom. What do you have?
I got Old Red for the song.
Okay.
All red. Okay, we'll take that. Thank you, Tom, very much. Okay, coming up, we have Greg Jarrett here. I'm not sure of the phone. I'm
Yeah,
hitting
is this
the right
Pat
things.
now? Pat, are you on with us?
Hey, Pat, welcome in.
What's going on with our phones today?
All right, that's
Yeah, that's
okay.
weird.
Well, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. All right, Greg Jarrett joins us next from Fox News Channel. What's he seeing in New York? And his insight, I just want to get from him what possibly could brag. How would we not know about some other felony, something else that's wrapped up? And the answer is we would know, at least as far as I can see it. The bottom line is this is a weak case. So what do? You multiply by 34. Don't ask me why he did it on, they paid by installments. I don't know how many installments on this. And it's a wire transfer. It's talking about it. And that's how we come up with 34. That goes away today. All this stuff goes away tonight or 3 o'clock, 2:30, we hope, that I'll be talking about with you. It goes away. No longer will we be lectured to by people who are just wishing it. Well, what do you know? You haven't seen the indictment yet. Okay, just give me the logic of it. That's our job. What's the logic of why Bragg wouldn't be going down Broadway with that? And there is none. He has what we thought he has, and that's it. And then it's multiplied. And if that's the case and people see that, then this takes on a completely different look. I still think they're going to gag Trump, and I think it will be helpful. But that's up in the air. That's a 50-50. All right, Greg Jarrett's next here, 855-839-1210. Hey, first, let me tell you about Italy. Let me tell you about the grand event. Second time for me and Ro going back. Sensational journey. A lot of people coming with us. That's because you get Rome, Tuscany, Florence, Siena, Milan, Venice, the northern Italian lakes region. Some would say the trip of a lifetime. I'd be one of them. And I have experience with most of these. I haven't been to Venice and Milan, and that's a high point for us on this. But I can tell you Rome is incredible. Then there's the food. There's 12 days of touring. The wine, the authenticity, the venues where you dine, and just the conservative tours team. All this for just $52.67, and that includes your airfare. The Colosseum, the Vatican, Trevi Fountain, Piazza Navona.
When you and Ro go to Venice, make sure you go on a gondola ride underneath the bridge of sighs. You make a wish, and you kiss her until you get to the other end, and your wish and hopes and dreams will come true.
Wait a minute, Catherine. I'm not even in Venice yet. I'm still in the Vatican. What am I kissing her there? All right, that's Venice. Check. I got that on the list. Ro knows that. The conservative tours team, Lorenzo, Marco, Giuseppe. Call them toll free at 888-733-9494 or go on their website, conservativetours.com. Florence, Tuscany beckons us. And then at home lap of Milan and Venice. You don't want to miss this. You know you want to get the information. Do it now. Call 888-733-9494, 888-733-9494.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. If you want to
Tom Giordano show. Welcome in. Haven't spoken in a while with the lawyer in residence over there at Fox News, Greg Jarrett. He's the author of a new book out in May 30th, Trial of the Century, the Scopes Monkey Trial. Let's go to Greg Jarrett. Hey, Greg, welcome in. That's a great choice. I think the main character there is H.L. Mencken, at least Inherit the Wind thought so. What do you say?
Yeah, I would pick Clarence Darrow, the
Okay.
greatest trial lawyer who ever lived, who came to the rescue of, a school teacher accused of the crime of teaching evolution in the public schools. And, Darrow's cross-examination of William Jennings Bryan, the fundamentalist leader, he utterly destroyed Bryan. And the New York Times called it the greatest courtroom scene in the history of Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence, and it really was.
Well, this is also being called the trial of the century if we get to a trial, because of the rarity of Trump and a former president. Greg, what's your gut tell you based upon all that's going on? First of all, do you think they gagged President Trump after today?
Well, I think it would be foolish to gag him. It's blatantly unconstitutional. And yes, judges in the past have done it. The difficulty is for most defendants, they don't have the financial wherewithal to challenge it. And by the time they do, the trial has already taken place. But, Trump is different. And I think it would be a clear violation of the First Amendment to gag Trump.
I think it helps him, though. Put on your, big picture hat. Does it help him or hurt him if he's gagged?
Well, it's hard to say. It probably helps him in a way because it just looks like more of the same.
Yes.
A trumped up case, a biased judge, what will surely be a biased jury. This is the most bizarre legal theory I've ever seen in my 43 years as a lawyer, to criminalize, the payment to an actress over an affair that happened 17 years ago. I mean, seriously, I think most Americans look at this and they say, wait a minute, this is a private matter. You're now going to weaponize the law against a guy for engaging in a non-disclosure agreement that's perfectly legal. It's not a campaign contribution. It never has been. And, all you have to do is read the excellent op-ed by Bradley A. Smith in the Wall Street Journal, former chair of the FEC, and he said, this is not a campaign donation. It's impossible. Read the law. It's obvious.
Greg, I think we'll know more tonight. My sense, and look, I'm a law school dropout. You're a big-time attorney, writer, analyst. But as I read this, if you don't have anything, morph all these possible ways that Trump paid this to Cohen in installments, et cetera, and then say there are 34 counts here. That will impress people. I think that goes away today, though, once we see this.
Yeah, as my friend Jonathan Turley, well-known law professor, said, chopping up a charge into 34 counts doesn't make it 34 times stronger. You don't improve the quality of a dubious charge by jacking up the quantity, and it really, to me, it's a sign of desperation on the part of Alvin Bragg. This is a guy who ran on the campaign pledge of prosecuting Trump. He vowed to exploit the powers of his office, if elected, to bring down a former president. This is a guy who prejudged the merits of a case without knowing the merits. He had no access to the files, knew nothing about the evidence. This is, he's obliterated fairness and impartiality that he's duty bound to follow. It's really tragic.
Well, on that side too, Greg, all these other cases, I don't know about you, but the Mar-a-Lago case, from what I can tell, and we haven't seen all the details, might be the strongest of this attempt to get Trump. But that's got to be undermined by this. Once you open up this, you miss, then public opinion, et cetera, is not going to be on your side with the other cases.
Experienced prosecutors, Dom, know that it's important to put your strongest case first. But here, Bragg's indictment is the lamest case of all.
Yeah.
And if it fails, as it should, it does damage to any other case that might follow. Why? Because the public loses faith in the fairness of the legal system. And we're already seeing that. Even some diehard liberals, Democrats, indeed the Washington Post have been grumbling about what a clearly politically motivated charge this is, bereft of credible evidence, unsupported by the law, barred by the statute of limitations. I mean, this is a joke of a case. As William Barr, the former AG, said, it's pathetic. It's an abomination. I heartily agree.
Parting question for Greg Jarrett, author of the upcoming book, May 30th, Trial of the Century. Trump is probably the all-time master at delay with all these legal things. And then what happens over the course of time, we forget even what we were talking about. How does delay, if this comes to a full-blown trial, et cetera, play out here, Greg, do you think?
Well, there's going to be a flurry of motions to dismiss. I think their best shot is that the statute of limitations expired a long time ago. And that's something people can wrap their heads around. I think he's also aiming to change the venue to a more fair, courtroom. Let's say Staten Island. I don't know wherever.
Wait a minute. I don't know if that's fair. Trump walks in and they go, make him president. And they walk in. Yeah.
But I think they'll also challenge the fairness of the judge. I mean, this was judge shopping by Bragg.
Sure.
He picked this particular judge. You can't do that in most jurisdictions except, crazy New York, crazy town. And, that's fundamentally unfair to judge shop, to find a biased judge to preside over the case and rule against the defense at every turn. That's preordained.
Absolutely. Well, I can hardly wait till we get a copy of the book and we get you back on with this, because I love that trial, and you're reviving it, I think, is exactly a perfect time.
Thank you, Dom. I appreciate it. It's available for pre-order now online.
Absolutely. Trial of the Century, May 30th release. Put order now. Get in line right now. Hey, Greg, thank you. Thanks very much for coming on, as always.
My pleasure, Dom. Thank you.
Greg Jarrett here on Talk Radio 1210. Do it on Staten Island. That'll be fair. Yeah. Oh, man. 855-839-1210. Yeah, why don't we do it on Staten Island? Let's call it, a compromise. Let's do it on Staten Island. Let's do it in Alabama. Let's do it in West Virginia. I think he won that by more. 855-839-1210. You get in. Don't forget the side question. And coming up, who is it? I know there are people that believe Biden benefits the most from this. I could make an argument. There's another group that even though they pretend like they want Trump gone, they are benefiting greatly from this. I'll tell you who that is. See if you agree. 855-839-1210 here. Hey, listen to this review of what I've been telling you. And this is a guy in the business world that has to deal with this day to day. I've told you about Roy, his trusted advisors, batteries plus bulbs. 2 big locations. They have one on Tilton Road in Northfield, the other on Route 73 over there in Mount Laurel. And in both locations, Matt Pierce wrote a review for them. He works with a fleet of vehicles, and he says, look, this place has batteries from cars to pickups to heavy-duty tractor batteries. The owner is a great guy, not afraid to come out and give great advice. And if they don't have your battery, typically the next day they get it. That allows me, thank you, Matt, for that, to tell you spring is almost here. It's time to plan ahead for your rides in nice weather. They do have those batteries for boats and motorcycles, ATVs, and more. Customer service is always what you get. Your phone needs any kind of repair. These are the people. Don't go anywhere else. You want a duplicate key fob, get them done there. Half the cost usually of a dealership. Great educational toys and games for the kids. As they say at Batteries Plus Bulbs, we power it, we light it, we fix it. Call them at 856-638 0778, 856 638 0778. Dom Giordano's show. Welcome in, everyone. 855-839-1210. AT&T and Verizon Wireless. Just push pound 1210 and you're on board. So Greg Jarrett laid it out very well. And today we'll see when we get the indictment. I'm not sure what time that comes down, but we're all over the arraignment, et cetera, today at 2:15. And anything that goes on with the protesters, seem to be a pretty good number of protesters there. This is something, though, that is a miscalculation. It's going to undercut the special prosecutor, et cetera. It's going to go on for quite a long period of time. And the net result is it's giving a tremendous second look back at Trump. Is that a sugar high? Will it last for a while? Or is it going to continue? It depends upon what happens on the ground. But I'd have to say, I believe Ron DeSantis was poised to announce at the end of this legislative session in May, sometime after Memorial Day then. But I think it's up in the air. I think he'll reassess and wait a while longer. Even with all the money, all the juice that was there, several reports he did very well here in Pennsylvania this week. I'm not seeing it. I think the polling is indicative of that. I can tell Greg Jarrett doesn't think they'll gag President Trump. I think they will. The other thing is tonight he's going to speak. And again, I know people want fire and brimstone. He's winning on this. When you're winning on this, don't misplay it in any way. Got to get those people that are persuadables to see this is a joke. And they will. When this indictment comes down today, people are going to go, that's all you got. You're just breaking this down into installments and further breaking it down. There'll be a lot of legalese. And do we really believe that that's what the grand jury wanted to do to go along with this, breaking this down into 34 counts? It's preposterous. If Bragg brings up something else, it would have come out by now. And that's where we are. And that's what's going to happen on this. If Trump plays it right over the next 24, 48 hours, it is a big winner. And Jarrett's right. The judge is suspect in this. I see his daughter is a consultant to Biden, Kamala Harris campaign and others. I mean, that doesn't make him, but it tells you they pick somebody that crawls with that. All right, let's go to Frank in Plymouth Meeting, and Frank is on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Frank, good afternoon.
Hi, Dom. How you doing?
Good.
I personally believe that Democratic Party think tank decided to change the narrative, okay? Now it's on Trump. And this is actually taking place with all media outlets. So instead of what really is happening to our economy, I just heard what OPEC is going to stop producing 5,000 barrels, 500,000 barrels a day. So things are, the economy is the issue. And this big distraction is taking the public's attention away from what's taking place.
Yeah, but that's too cute by half, Frank. How does that help when we're seeing clear evidence, poll after poll, a brand new one out today, how this is revitalizing Trump? It doesn't work.
Well, I personally believe the interest in Trump being our next president is there and always will be there.
No,
Okay,
no, that's not.
so
That's
I
not.
think-
That's not true, Frank. I mean, look at the polling. DeSantis was right there. People were saying, "Are we tired of this guy? Are we? It's too much. It's too much melodramatic." He was not on the ropes, but it wasn't like 2016. I differ. Now it's almost back to 2016.
Well, the people I talk with locally,
Mhm.
they're all Trump fans. Okay, they're not Republican fans. Okay, they're Trump fans.
Well, he needs Republican fans too, and those people are coming back home to him. Look, I in talk radio, and maybe I'm different, Dan. You know this. Things are not as easy to just put a distraction out there, and they're just distracting and all that. These things are more complicated. You got a guy who's unskilled, Bragg, that you're trying to coach along toward this. No, this is happening because they think this is the way to take Trump out, and they're wrong. And all the polling and everything else indicates that that's where this is going. That's the point. They can try to distract all they want. Now, the media, what's their stake in it? They want Trump in the front rim. He'll revitalize everybody. I bet Fox News' numbers today are unbelievable. Even CNN. There's an appetite for the merchandise. There's even more protesters there on both sides than I thought would be there. It's kind of hard to get there and everything else. I think it's pretty well attended as far as protesters. Now, here's Representative. This is Jamal Bowman. This is the guy arguing last week about the children in Nashville. He's kind of like the sixth man or the fifth man for the squad. He wants to be the member of the squad. This guy from New York. He's outside with the protest. Here's what he said.
To reimagine, rethink, and redesign our democracy for a system that works for all of us. We're not going to get caught up in the back and forth and the social media and the circus, and we're not getting caught up in that. That's a moment. We're trying to build something special. And so we need everybody to help us build that special thing. And that's why, listen, that's why as a member of Congress, do you ever see members of Congress do what I'm doing right now? Look at what I'm doing. I don't even know this dude. I don't know his live. I ain't asking him no nothing. I'm talking to him because he approached me with a demeanor to engage. And that's why we're talking. I don't care if he got 5 followers. those 5 hear this conversation, if they're inspired or if it sparks something, then they could go do their research. You know what I'm saying?
Congressman.
So we out here just trying to move in truth and love. That's all.
Congressman, have you been engaging Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene?
She don't want to engage no Democrat in Congress. She's all about the hateful rhetoric. She doesn't come forward.
There's got to be some good people.
What's your message to Donald
Hey, my man, listen,
What's your message to Donald Trump? I ain't got no message to Trump, man.
Wait a minute. Where did the peace and love go? Oh, man. The peace and love, brother. Yes. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm racist. I ain't got a message for Trump, but it was peace and love.
Yeah. You know, let's preach peace and love, but then I want to reach over the aisle. No, they don't want to work with us. No.
I'm just going to say that for a while here until I move past this guy. Get this guy out of here now. I've had enough. He's a human prop. All right, coming up, big 1 o'clock hour as we continue observing protesters. There's an ambulance apparently outside of Trump Tower, parked right on the sidewalk, it looks like. Not sure what the ambulance is about. We'll see. What a
production note
circus.
real quick. We're going to be wrapping up on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
So head over to the Odyssey app if you want to continue listening to the show, or 1210 WPHT. And if you weren't aware, we are live on YouTube from 12 to 1. So youtube.com/@1210 WPHT. Please subscribe and come watch us.
Yeah, let me know what kind of sandwich you're having each day. You might have a recipe or two. I'd like to know it. I'm always looking for lunch tips. 855-839-1210.